kind of give you guys an overview of the way our plow system works and what your role is in that, and how we do the paperwork and things like that, what procedures that we need to do and be careful of and make sure that are taken care of. You guys have a plow folder, and these have not been, gone through since last year, so they may not be complete, but they will be, now that we've got snow. It's become a priority. I mean, it was literally just recently that new customers have finished signing up and things like that. So we don't like to start too early because the routes and all that stuff tend to change, and so anyway, so here we go. So I guess the first thing we'll just talk about is the Snow Commander and what that position does. So the Snow Commander typically will be me or Bob, and Ron will act as a Snow Commander as well, although Ron has a driveway route or a plow route that he does. Typically a Snow Commander is not someone that's behind, in the driver's seat running a route, unless we're in a backup scenario. But it's our job to figure out, with the resources that we have, how can we get our customers service so that they're happy and them and their customers are safe, and that we're getting everybody done as expeditiously as possible. So in order to make that happen, typically the Snow Commander will call you about 48 hours ahead of schedule, ahead of a potential storm, and say, hey, Eric, it looks like it's going to snow on Thursday. You ready to go? And you need to say, yep, I'm ready to go. You could say, like, well, geez, my grandmother just died and I have the funeral that day. That would be a really good excuse why you're not going to be able to plow. Okay, but there should be very few excuses of why you're not going to be ready to go. I mean, if you're really sick or whatever, you're sick, you're sick, not just with a little cold, coughing and sneezing, but, if you're puking, we don't want you out there plowing, okay? So, so there should be very few excuses. Typically, you will get a text. We'll just do a group text message, and you guys will just reply, yep, ready, okay. And if not, you need to let us know and talk about it. And you need to let us know right away. We don't want to be chasing you, having to do multiple texts and phone calls and all that stuff, because at that point, Snow Commander's stress level is going up if he's not confident that his team's ready to go, and we're looking for your replacement. So, if you don't get back to us, and then, 2 days later you do, we might say, oh, sorry, you're sitting this one out. We already replaced you. So that's not what we want to do. So you've got to respond to us quickly. The Snow Commander is also coordinating with phone calls from customers coming in, especially the first few storms. There'll be a lot of calls coming in. They want to be added to the route. Other customers might have issues that need to be notated on the sheet and dispatched out to the drivers, things like that. We'll be coordinating with the, the get ready crew for equipment that are making sure that we've got our, salt and, sandbags in the trucks and the shovels, and everything's all hooked up and all ready to go. So, so there's a lot that the Snow Commander's doing. Let's see here. Also making sure that these folders, this is one of the last things we do, is, we print the list because we want it as up to date as possible, printed. And then we will mark, any notes that might come in, and then have them ready for you to distribute out into these folders. So, all right, then we're gonna call the drivers again about 12 to 24 hours before the storm. So, if it was gonna snow on Thursday, we might be calling you, Wednesday night again, and say, it looks like the storm's on track, come in anytime after 1 o'clock, between like 1 and 5 or something, before the Thursday night storm. And so you would get your truck. Now, if you live far away outside our service area, we don't want you taking the truck home because it's, it's too far away. But if you live within the service area, You know, you'll typically come and get your truck. You can come in and sit down here, Mo. You can come get your truck so that you're all ready to go. We don't want to have you clean off your car and warm it up and drive to the shop and clean off your truck and warm that up before you go. That's just like an hour of waste. So we want you to roll out of bed, get dressed, start your vehicle, brush it off, put your defroster on, go in, make yourself a pot of coffee, whatever you gotta do, and be ready to go. And you know, you should be ready to go like 20 to 30 minutes max from a phone call, you know, on the road. So, all right, Snow Commander's watching the storm and he's making the call. So sometimes the storm's a bust, you know, it just doesn't materialize like they thought. You know, maybe it was, you know, expected to be a 6-inch storm and it turns out to only be a, you know, 1-inch storm. You know, that's a different call. Or if maybe we were thinking it was only going to be an inch and it turns out to be dust and we don't have to do anything. So, so the Snow Commander is going to call you, and you as a plow driver, you know, should be home in bed with your phone charging, you know, on loud with your ringer, so that you can hear it when you get the call. Okay, so again, we're going to start with a text. We hope that and it works out really well as doing a group text. It speeds it up tremendously because it takes over an hour, almost an hour and a half, to go through and call everybody and, you know, have a little conversation with everybody. You know, yeah, it's snowing, get out of bed, okay, you know. Whereas you can just do one group's text and boom, everybody has it. And then you just get up and reply, and the ones that don't reply after, you know, whatever, 15 minutes, you know, then we're starting to text them again, and we're starting to call you. Okay, so again, that raises the stress level tremendously when we don't hear from you. When it's time to go and you're MIA, it's very stressful for the Snow Commander. So please, you know, do those double checks. You know, set your, you know, I want you to sleep. I don't want you up all night watching the storm, because I want you to be rested. The Snow Commander's up all night. Every 2 hours, I'm setting my alarm, getting out of bed with my bathrobe and slippers and my yardstick, and I'm measuring the snow, you know, to call and come in and sit down, Zach. So, you know, that's our job. Your job is to sleep and rest, so that you're fresh, okay? But, you know, you shouldn't be waking up when there's 6 inches of snow in the ground. So, you know, I mean, if it's supposed to be, if it looks like we're gonna be, you know, having enough snow to get started by midnight, you know, maybe you ought to set your alarm for like 3, just to make sure that, you know, you didn't miss your calls or something, you know? Okay. So the Snow Commander is managing messages, he's dispatching drivers, you know, monitoring your progress, he's watching the GPS, making sure that you have, you know, you're progressing through your route. You know, Mrs. Jones calls up, when is the driver coming? We can look and see where you are. And, oh, you're like 4 houses away. You know, you will be there in an hour, kind of a thing. You know, so that's all very helpful. And let's see here, what else does Snow Commander do? You know, he is telling you whether or not to perhaps shovel with the first pass. Sometimes, you know, if it looks like the storm's petering out, it's not too big and we've got time, we just get it all done in one visit. Other times, if we're scrambling, trying to get as many people opened up before 7 a.m. so they can get off to work, we don't want to take time and shovel on that first pass. So you might communicate with the Snow Commander about what we should do given that situation. Also, when everybody's done their first pass, you know, or just about done, a couple driveways before, you should be contacting the Snow Commander. Say, hey, I'm just about done. What do you want me to do next? And Snow Commander is the guy that's going to make that call. You know, if Junie is fast as lightning and he's done, and Eric, you know, has 10 driveways left, you know, we might dispatch Junie to go do the bottom end of, you know, 5 of Eric's, and then Eric will do his 5, and then, you know, his route will be done quicker. You know, if everyone's getting done about the same time, or, you know, right, just to be independent of that, we will just say, okay, start over, okay, and go clean them up. So we, in our contracts, you know, are not obligated to shovel residential driveways until the second visit, okay? So there's no problem with leaving that until the second pass, okay? And most of the commercial stuff has a separate shovel crew that goes around the shovel. So, okay. And then it's also the snow commander's job to call tow trucks and things like that. If you get stuck and you've given it an honest try, and then you've got out there and you've shoveled, and we'll talk about strategies and how to get unstuck. But if you're stuck, and you know, the snow commander will dispatch someone else that's close by to help pull you out. If you're really stuck, you know, he'll call a tow truck. So you shouldn't be calling the tow truck. You just call the snow commander, so that he can make those determinations, because he sees a much bigger picture than what you see, okay? So, okay. All right. Snow commander is also checking out your paperwork, making sure that it's filled out properly when you bring it back at the end of the day. And he's also does get out and does quality control inspections, and will drive around and check up on, you know, certainly not every job, but many jobs, to make sure that we're providing the level of quality that our customers are expecting. So that's pretty much the snow commander's job. Do you guys have any questions about what that entails? No? Okay. One thing that's very frustrating for me is when plow drivers or shovelers don't respect the requests of the snow commander. Oftentimes, we'll get a different response from a driver from me than we get from Ron or Bob or Wayne. Potentially, Wayne is in the office snow commander as well. And you know, we're not asking you this, you know, to make sure everybody's comfy. You know, we're asking this to provide service to our customers. And you know, if Wayne calls you up and says, "Hey, I need you to go do this," you know, I don't expect to get flack, you know, or hear from Wayne that you're getting flack and you don't want to do it, or, you know, we try to put things into question, you know, and say, "Hey, you know, Junie, will you go and take care of Mrs. Jones?" You know, that's not like a, "Well, I don't really feel like it, thanks anyway," you know, which sometimes happens to snow commanders that are not me. Usually I don't get that flack, and I need that same level of commitment for everybody. He's not asking you that, you know. There might be a few situations where he can get somebody else, but you know, we really don't. It's not such an optional thing, okay? I'm gonna put this on.